Identity crisis. Those are the two words I heard loud and clear in my spirit in March of 2017. When I looked up the definition, it said, a feeling of not knowing who you really are or what your purpose is. And as I started to look around and notice how people were really in an identity crisis right after the elections, and there was so much discourse. There were people in a constant state of fear. They were angry. They were saying vicious things to each other. They had lost a sense of humanity, of connection, and especially civility. Basically forgotten the golden rule, which says, treat others the way that you want to be treated. And so, as I walked around the city, turned on the TV, everywhere I saw it. Identity crisis. And my heart grew really heavy. And I asked God, why are you showing me this? I get it, I see it, I understand it. Well, what do you want me to do about it? It's huge. Then I heard identity quotient. And like anybody, I ran to Google to see what exactly quotient meant. And I read, it's the sum of dividing one thing into another. What I saw next was me over me, others over me, and God over me. And what I felt in my spirit is that when we look to ourselves or when we look to others, the possibilities are finite. They come to an end. But when we look to God, the possibilities are infinite. We have access to infinite creativity, infinite love, infinite hope. But when we look to ourselves, much of our decisions, as research has shown, 80% of our decisions are made through our subconscious. So our subconscious houses everything from our past. Everything I said a minute ago is now in your subconscious. And this is where most of our decisions are made. This is also where most of our fears, our biases, our past hurts, our traumas are housed. So you can only go so far if 80% of the decisions you're making are based from your subconscious. When we look to others to define us, to tell us who we are, we often do things that we really don't feel like doing. We don't really feel like it's who we really are. We do things to please others, simply to please others or to fit in. That's not our true identity. Our true identity resides in our connection with God, and so does our happiness. We're spiritual beings in physical bodies, and we often hear people talk about the mind-body-spirit connection. But I'm here to challenge you to think about your own life and realign that from a spirit, mind, body connection. It's our spirit that's supposed to direct our mind, who then directs our bodies. It's our spirit where our true identity lies. It's our spirit that gives us our dreams and our desires And it's in our spirit that we find our true source of power to make those dreams and desires come to life. So, okay, God, I see that too. How do we get to where we are now, to living a life that is fully centered and aligned with God? Where we step into our true identity, where we fulfill our purpose and our destiny. How do we do that? And it's a 4-step process. Self-awareness, self-transformation, self-love, and self-actualization. Those are the 4 steps. In the self-awareness piece, we take full responsibility for exactly where we are, right here, right now, realizing that we are here because of all the choices that we've made up until now. Our life is a reflection of those choices. And if you don't like where you are right now, you have the power to choose differently at any point in time. Self-awareness is asking yourself and becoming curious about why. Why do I think the way that I think about myself? Why do I think about others the way that I think about them? Is it something that I really have experienced and know is true, or is it something that somebody has told me is true, and I just simply believe them? Curiosity is key to becoming self-aware, to asking yourself questions like that. The objective of becoming self-aware is to realize that every choice you make is either from a place of love or fear. And then also recognizing that inner small voice that is really you, connected to God, that is always guiding you on the path that you should be on, not whom others think you should be on. Self-transformation, the second piece. This is where the magic happens. This is where new habits, new thoughts, you see yourself differently. This is where change happens. In self-awareness, you also learn about your strengths, your weaknesses. You also see areas that you might want to change. Well, the self-transformation piece is where you take a new vision of yourself and you create a pathway to get to that vision. They're small steps. A lot of people confuse self-transformation or transformation with these huge leaps and bounds. Transformation can be physical, it can be spiritual, it can be emotional. This is where those habits become critical, daily habits. And you can't just stop a bad habit either. You have to replace it with a good one. Some of those habits might be gratitude, being more mindful, journaling, visualization, visualizing yourself as you want to be, the steps that you want to take to get there, and then implementing them in your daily life. As you start to see change, you get motivated, you get excited about it, kind of like losing weight, right? You get excited when you lose that first pound or 5 pounds and you keep doing what you're doing. Running a marathon, same thing. You don't go out and just run a marathon, you train for it. Your brain works the exact same way. The self-love piece is probably the most critical and the most powerful and also the most difficult. Because we have perceptions about ourselves that we've been living all of our lives. And it's hard to change those things. But here's what I've found, is that who we believe God is to us is what we end up manifesting in our own lives and projecting onto other people. If you believe God is ashamed of you or angry at you, guess what happens? You end up projecting that anger either onto yourself or onto others. And most likely the people that you love most. But if you believe that God is good and God is love, you're projecting that onto the people around you. You're projecting that onto yourself. Self-love has two critical components. It is forgiveness, and not only forgiveness of others, but forgiving yourself. And also self-care. And self-care, I'm not talking about going to the spa every week or getting a mani-pedi, okay? Although those things are great, because I love them. Self-care is making the best decisions for yourself. It's looking at your finances and saying, I really need to work on this. Or I shouldn't spend this money this week. Or I really need to invest more into my self-care. That's self-care. Self-actualization, the fourth piece. I agree with Abraham Maslow on this, in that he believed that we weren't growing or evolving. We're simply going back to who we really are, to our true selves. I think everybody knows the story here about Adam and Eve and how they walked and talked with God and called God a friend. I think that's what we're supposed to be doing. In learning who we really are, we also learn whose we are. There's several characteristics of a self-actualized person, and there's many actually, and I'm just going to share a few with you. A self-actualized person is somebody who is authentic. They know who they are, they know what they want. They don't pretend to be something in one environment and something else in another. What you see is what you get. They're also peacemakers, and God knows we need more of those today. They're peacemakers not because they don't speak up when they see an injustice, or they're kumbaya with everybody. No, they're respectful. A self-actualized person that's a Catholic can walk into a mosque or a Jewish temple and be comfortable and respectful of their customs and beliefs. A self-actualized person knows their purpose and they have passion. And you feel it. They believe in something greater than themselves, that they're being directed by something greater than themselves. And they love to give back. They love to give of themselves and help others. 4-step process: self-awareness, self-transformation, self-love, and self-actualization. How do I know these things work? Just make it up. Because I've lived them. I am 49 years young, and I am the happiest that I've ever been in my life. I know who I am. I know whose I am. I know why I'm here. I know why I'm here today. And I know how powerful I am when I am fully aligned and connected with God. But it wasn't always that way. I spent half of my life in anger, fear, and shame due to childhood molestation from the time that I was 5 till I was 12. I was in the muck and mire of anger, fear, and shame until one day I was at the end of my rope, actually contemplating suicide. And I was having these thoughts, I was having flashbacks of being molested. And it wasn't just flashbacks and images. I was feeling, I was hearing, I was seeing, I was smelling everything that had happened to me. And this was at the age of 25 in March of 1994. This one day I was doing sit-ups in my bedroom. I rolled, the thoughts came back with a vengeance, rolled over on my stomach and cried out to God, sobbing, God, if you're real, take this from me because I cannot go another day like this. and instantly I felt heat from the top of my head to the soles of my feet. I was shaking inside and out. I couldn't open my eyes because I felt this bright light just all around me. It lasted for about 30 seconds to a minute. And when I stood up, I felt lighter, I felt better. I knew something was different. And since that day, I haven't had one more memory consume me like that again. It changed my life. And practicing this process helped me go from anger, fear, and shame to faith, hope, and love. These practices have helped me overcome a traumatic divorce, where you know is traumatic when your own therapist tells you, I don't know how you're sitting here today. They've also given me the confidence and the courage to leave a 6-figure, cushy 20-year career and start my own business. They've given me the courage to do what I feel is right for me, even when everyone around me thinks I'm crazy or doesn't agree with me. The love, joy, and freedom I feel today is not ordinary. It is extraordinary, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. The biggest thrill in life is to find your true identity, live your destiny, and find your true source of power. The meaning, the purpose of why we're here and why we're alive is not to make a living. It's to make a life, to make a big, beautiful life. The new IQ test doesn't ask you a list of questions to figure out who you are or to figure anything out. It asks you one. If every choice you make from this point forward is a reflection of what you believe is real, or what you think is real, what do you believe? And in whom, what, or where will you place your trust in the most? The world needs us all to believe and trust and love again. I pray and hope that you join me on this wonderful and wild journey of a lifetime.